All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So I'm gonna try to make this intro as short as possible so we can get into the review. So I recently got done playing Clair Obscur Expedition 33 on the channel. There will be a link to that playlist in the description if you're interested in checking that out. I will note that there was a lot of, this was a very long playthrough. It was a total of 53 episodes. I did not 100% complete the game. I feel like I probably did 90 to 95% of the entire game. I wasn't too concerned about 100% completing it, but if you do want to watch the playlist, there's some things you should probably know. There were a lot of changes that happened throughout the playlist. I did start playing it with a different mic and headset. I then upgraded to an actual boom mic, which the sound quality improved, and then I got a standalone headset. And along the way, I did get better at setting up my OBS to record higher quality sound, as well as how I render my sound. So the quality in the beginning, I'm not going to say it's terrible, but compared to where it is at the end, it is significantly better at the end. So as you're watching, if you choose to, you might notice that the sound quality definitely changes over time. Now, let's get into the review. Starting off with graphics and visuals. Now, the graphics on this game are really good. I do think that this is definitely a high quality game. They put a lot of time and effort into it. However, there are some issues that I have with the graphics themselves. So when you do a cutscene, unfortunately, the cutscenes are limited to 30 FPS, and that can cause some issues with the cutscenes. They're not as clean as they could be if the cutscenes were unlocked. I did not like that. I really wish that they were at least 60 frames. I kind of get why they did it. They probably did it for consoles, but I would have preferred at least I played in the PC version, mouse and keyboard. I did not do controller. Probably should have been in the intro, but whatever, we're here now. So yeah, that was I'm not a fan of that. I did take off all of the film grain and all of that kind of stuff to have the cleanest visuals possible. It did look very clean. As far as like visuals go, this game had a lot of unique locations, very bright, some very bright colors, some black and white, some kind of dull muted colors. I thought that each location was pretty unique and it looked visually stunning. But there are some issues. So when it comes to graphics and visual issues, as I already said, the cutscenes, as well as the hair. The hair was different, to say the least. I don't know why they chose that art style with the hair. It's not the worst hair I've ever seen. And it's definitely weird when you first start playing it, but you get used to it after a few hours. But the hair is definitely something that turned me off throughout the entire game. It just looked weird compared to the clean graphic style and visuals that they had throughout the rest of the game. Also, there was a part in the very beginning where there was water clipping through a boat. That's the most. There was another part later on in the game. I'm not going to try to find that. But in the very beginning, I remember there was a boat that was clipping with the water. So they missed that. And there was another time as well, but we're just going to focus on that first part. Also, there were some issues with the audio being out of sync with the lips. Now, I do remember people complaining about other games with the mouth movements of the characters being out of sync, and they made a huge deal about that. I'm not entirely sure why nobody's making note on that with this game, but that definitely was concern for me. I did notice that. So all in all, as beautiful as this game can be. Oh, and I guess we should talk about the like skills and stuff. The skills were good. They had some very unique visual effects. They looked good. There wasn't any like crazy particle effects that kind of broke the game. Um, so that is part. That is part. That as well, with just the overall graphics and visuals of like the characters and the world, but the skills as well. They looked very good. However, with the issues that I mentioned, um, I'm gonna have to give the graphics and visuals an 8 out of 10. That's the best I can possibly do for it. Um, so let's talk about the gameplay and the mechanics. So this is kind of it's kind of like an open world, but it's a linear story. So you do have to go to certain locations to progress the story, but it's open world in the fact that there's a lot of side content that you can do if you wish. And this is a turn-based RPG strategy open world game. It's pretty unique. So the basic gameplay mechanics is you travel to a location, you get into a fight, and you have these turn orders. That's about it. You can parry, you can dodge, take no damage, you can do counter attacks, perfect dodges, and that's about it for the gameplay and mechanics. It's pretty simple when you think about it, but I guess the gameplay mechanics. There's also Lumina and Pictos. So sometimes when you defeat an enemy, you get a Picto that is just you can put on any character, and it has whatever effect that it provides that character. But if you win 4 fights with it, and it doesn't have to be consecutive, but if you win 4 fights, you unlock it as a Lumina, and you can note that by the little highlights around the square as you win fights. And once it's unlocked as Lumina, you can place it on any character, and you get the base effect. Now, when it's in the Picto form, you can have 3 Pictos on each character. When you place a Picto on someone, it's completely free to do so. You don't take any Lumina points, and you also get whatever stats might be increased by it. So you can get stuff like speed, HP, defense, and crit rate. That's a way to adjust your stats as well. And you're only limited by the Lumina stats. See how I can put this. You're only limited by the Lumina bonus points, bonus stats you get from an item based on how many Lumina you put on your character. You can get Lumina from defeating bosses and other things. So you want to stack as much Lumina as you can on whatever you feel like your main character is. That's going to make them more robust in what they can do. Also, you have weapons. So weapons are not sellable. You can win them in different ways. You can buy them from merchants. You can win them from fights. And the weapon themselves need to be upgraded. So there's 3 different kind of tiers, I guess you could say. You usually have the base. Well, there's 4 tiers actually. There's like the weapons that have just the base tier that they only do whatever damage type you have on them. And then when you reach different levels, they unlock different special abilities. You have to level them up to get those special abilities, and those weapons are only usable on whatever character they're designed for. So, like I said, the base of the gameplay itself is pretty simple. Start a fight, do your dodges and your counters, and eventually you win the fight. The mechanics can be somewhat complicated. However, I think both of these do work very well together. I personally don't have an issue with turn-based combat. I think the way that they did turn-based combat works really well. You can go as fast or as slow as you want to as you start to memorize your skills and where you have them located, whether it be on controller or mouse and keyboard. You can memorize them and you can start to do them really quickly, especially if you don't change your skills and you kind of have a set build. So because turn-based is not a deal breaker for me, and everything that you can do with it, I'm going to give gameplay and mechanics a 10 out of 10. Now we move on to the story. Now, I don't want to give any spoilers for the story. You never know, someone might be watching this and they have not played it or they have not beat it. I will say that this story is in 3 parts. So there are 4 parts. There's 3 distinct story elements that are separated, and you will know when you get to each story part. And then after the main story is complete, there's like what I would consider a part of the story where you can do different side quests and you can learn more about the world and stuff like that, even though it's not a part of the same story. I absolutely love the story. I thought that it was paced very well, and I took my time doing it. If I just ran through nothing but the story, I think it would have been an incredible story, like a 12 out of 10. But because I did pace it out, there were parts where I was like, okay, what happened? What did I miss? Because I don't remember something. But that's more of a me issue than the issue with the story itself. I'm gonna have to give the story a 10 out of 10. I think it's unbelievable. Next section is sound and music. First, let's talk about just the sound in general, the sounds of the world. When you're near water, you can hear it rippling. If it's running water, you can hear that. The sounds of different attacks and dodges and parries and counters, all of that sounds very good. What this game performs a masterclass on is the music. The music in this game, simply the story music, like when you're going through different story elements, the music is absolutely incredible. You can pick up tracks that you can play at your camp and listen to as you're doing stuff in your little camp. But even the music that isn't story related, it is just a side quest. You know, you go to a different zone and then music picks up. Even if you didn't get to experience that, you're not really missing anything, but you are missing something. I don't know how to describe that because the story music is so great, but there is definitely some music that it's part of side missions, side content that if you didn't do, you won't get to experience. It's not that big a deal if you don't get to experience, but it is kind of like you're missing something because they did so well. The music in this game is absolutely incredible. It all sounds the same while still being unique. It's that same style, but the music is unique for each zone. I absolutely love the sound and music of this game. I sometimes, as I am going through the game, I'm like, well, I kind of want to mute the music and the sound effects so that way I could, listen to something else, listen to YouTube or something, my own music. But I never had that when I was playing this game. If anything, there were parts where I wanted to stop what I was doing and not progress to another zone or continue fighting someone because I just wanted to sit and listen to the music. So because of that, I'm giving sound and music a 10 out of 10. Now we move on to performance. This should be a pretty quick section as usual on this channel. I did have some performance issues. So whatever crash, and I'm not sure I actually recorded any crash, left them in the gameplay. I'm gonna have to look online for an image of the crash report. I'm sure someone posted it. but I got frequent crashes as I was playing. So if I would play, or let's say I had planned to play for 4 or 5 hours, after about 2 or 3 hours, I would get a crash. So if I remembered, I would have to save the game, exit out completely, and then re-upload and then restart, and then the game wouldn't crash. But I crashed quite frequently, and that was the only real performance issue that I had. But because it was a significant issue for me, I can't do better. I can't do better than a 5 out of 10 on the performance. I wish it was. I wish it was better, honestly. Next, we're going to talk about replayability. So this is another short section, and this is a section that really depends on you and how you like to play games. They have New Game Plus, so you can go through the game. When you do New Game Plus, you keep all of your weapons and their levels. You also keep your Pictos and any Lumina that you've unlocked, all that stuff. But you do start off back to your characters at level 1. For me, if you play through the story and only the story, then there is a reason to go to New Game Plus and maybe try it on a higher difficulty, and then also do the story as well as side content. Now, what I did is I did the story as well as much side content as I possibly could, because I didn't feel the need to ever really play this game again. It is a very long game, even if you only play the story. I do like the fact that they have New Game Plus and they do let you carry a lot of stuff over. But for me, I don't really feel like I'm ever going to play the game again. So the best I can do for replayability would be a 5 out of 10. Next is atmosphere. So for me, atmosphere means, do the visuals and sounds positively reflect what they're trying to portray the world to be and you inside of it. I feel like they definitely did a good job of that. The opening scene is a scene of you going through you going through Lumiere, which was split off from the main continent. It's a nice place to live, but you can definitely tell that there was a catastrophe at one point. There are some rubble and some other stuff, and then when you get into the world, you can tell that there's something magical and different about the world. It's not normal. You could say there's places where there are super bright colors. There's fantastical monsters. There's sounds. There's different zones. I think they absolutely nailed the atmosphere, not only of like the French style, but as far as like something happened in the world and there was some sort of catastrophe. I'm going to give the atmosphere a 10 out of 10. Next one is innovation. Should be a fairly quick section. I feel like because this game is so new, there is definitely some innovation that people could take from this game. The turn-based combat and the more real time it was with the parry and the dodges. I would love to see more games do that. I would love to see them take the way that they handled skills and you could quickly navigate through your skills. I would love to see games take that away. Even the potion systems, as far as healing, providing AP and revives, I think that was very intuitive. The gradient skills and attacks, that was very good. You could do jump dodges, you could do parries and counters. Parries would do the counters, and then you could do dodges, perfect dodges. I really like the turn-based combat, and I think other turn-based combat could learn a thing or two from this game. Also, the whole weapon system being unique and leveling them up provide different powers. The Pictos that you can unlock and put on any number of characters as long as you had the points. Uh, I don't remember seeing that anywhere else, but I definitely think that there is definite innovation that people could take from this game because it's so new and there is a possibility people could take from it. I'm going to have to give innovation a 10 out of 10. Next one is value. So value for me is how much fun or entertainment did you get from purchasing the game at whatever cost you may have purchased it. Now, I purchased the game at full price when it first came out, which was $60, I believe, 60 or 70. I think it was 60. Yeah, I believe it was $59.99. It was a little over $60, which is a full game. I usually, at the bare minimum, I think I got my value's worth if I spent at least $1 per hour of fun that I had. So I did, let me pull up Steam real quick. I can give you my exact hours. Now, my hours might be a little off because there were times where I sat in the menu. So my playtime is 106.2 hours. I would say easily you could take probably 6 hours off for the random times that I sat in the menu for a little bit too long. So I would say my playtime is 100 hours. I spent $60 on the game. So I definitely met my quota of $1 per $1 per hour of fun. Now, I also did as much side content as I possibly could. So if you paid full price and you blitzed through the main story and you got the main story done in 40 hours, then that may not be a good evaluation for you. I usually purchase all of my games on discount, but being as though I got over 100 hours of fun and playtime for $60, I'm going to have to give my value a 10 out of 10. All right, now we are here for final thoughts. I absolutely love this game. I think depending on how you want to play the game, if you want to blitz through the story, I probably would wait for a discount. At $30, $30 to $40, and just blitzing through the game, I think would be a great purchase price. If you have no interest to do all of the side content, you may have some replayability for this game, and if you do, then it does have New Game Plus. The performance is a little suspect, at least on PC. I don't know what it's like on console, so that's something to consider. The graphics and visuals are absolutely beautiful. I love the gameplay because I don't really have a bias against turn-based. Even if you do not like turn-based combat, I would say wait for the game to go on sale for like $20, or if you have a friend that has it on console and you can play it, or maybe you go to their house and just test it out on their PC, or spend $20. I think that even if you're not a huge fan of turn-based combat, you will probably enjoy this, or it's at least tolerable. So the overall rating that I am giving the game is going to be an 8.7. 8.7 is extremely high for me. I believe the last game that I played most recently was The Last of Us. I believe that I got an 8.6. I can't remember if Last of Us won Game of the Year or not. I think this could potentially be a contender for Game of the Year. It's definitely a good game in my opinion. Your opinion may differ. The real problem that I have that makes this not game of the year is the performance issues with the crashes. I don't feel like I would put this up as game of the year simply because of that, because it was very annoying, and it shouldn't have happened as often as it did. You may think differently. If it did win game of the year for this year, I wouldn't be mad because I do think it is an incredible game. I had a lot of fun. I would encourage you to consider the type of game that it is, whether or not you would enjoy it. I think you would at a certain price point. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And like I said earlier, if you do want to watch the series, that's going to be a link down in the description for my playlist when I did a Let's Play. If you guys enjoyed the video, please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting. I would love to hear your opinions on the game as well as what you think of my opinions, whether you believe I'm crazy or I'm right. All right, guys, I'm Loot. I'm out.